So in this case, working capital management would mean managing the manner in which your working capital is brought into the business, the manner in which it is utilized, and different sources from which it is raised, ensuring that working capital is there in the business in the right quantity and the right time as and when needed. Okay. So funds that are required to be invested in the business for a short term are known as working capital. So when we say capital, like I have said before, we have your fixed capital and we have working capital. Fixed capital is anything that you require over a long period of time. Alright, that is normally the distinction we make between the two. And how much is long term now? Normally, for the purpose of definition of working capital, anything less than 1 year is said to be short term, anything more than a year is said to be long term. So if you want to invest in a machinery, in a building or any other type of fixed asset, for that you will require fixed capital. Whereas if you want to pay day-to-day expenses like salaries, you want to pay wages, you want to pay all your utility bills, rent, etc. In that case, you are going to require working capital, right? And there are the ways in which we manage these two types of capital is very different, and also the sources of these working capital will be very different from each other, right? So the funds that are required for short term use, and these are also known as short term, or the other word we use for working capital is circulating capital. That means it circulates, it moves from one form to another. Now how exactly is that? We call it circulating capital because it keeps getting converted from cash to some sort of material to some other form throughout its entire lifetime, right? That thing is called, the lifetime that we are talking about, or that whole cycle is known as the operating cycle. Alright, now you may have heard of this thing called the operating cycle or the working capital cycle as it is known. This is nothing but a series of things that happen and how our working capital keeps moving from one form to another. Okay, so let's take for example, in the first example, a trading firm. Okay, there are two types of firms which could be either trading or they could be manufacturing firms. I am talking about those that deal with goods. Alright, we are not talking of service firms. So in case of trading, what people do is they purchase finished goods, alright, and then they sell or resell those same finished goods in the form or as products, retail products to their customers. Okay, so in this case what happens? First of all, you start with cash. You require cash to purchase those goods, right? Like for example, let's say Borkar Superstores is a trading firm. They don't manufacture their own products, but they purchase from other manufacturers and they sell to us as customers. So what is the first thing they need? They will require cash. This cash they will use to purchase inventory of finished goods. Alright, like they will buy all those items like the biscuits and food items and all other items. So this gets converted into inventory of finished goods. Alright, now this inventory is sold, isn't it? The stock which they have in their store is going to be sold to customers. So what happens when you sell the stock? You may either sell it on cash basis or you may sell it on credit basis. Of course, in superstores there may not be any credit basis sale, but in case of other bigger trading firms, People sell on credit, businesses sell on credit, alright. So if you sell on cash, this inventory, it immediately gets converted into cash, right? You purchase the inventory with cash and now you are selling it for cash. So it immediately gets converted. Whereas if you sell it on credit, when you sell it to the customer, first it will get converted into something called receivables. Alright. Now what are receivables? Nothing but your debtors, your customers who are yet to pay you money, right? You have sold them the goods and they have still not paid you, or you have sold it to them on credit and given them some time to pay. So they get first converted into receivables, and let's say you have allowed them about 3 months time to pay you this cash amount, alright. So after 3 months that receivables will get converted into cash. So this is the operating cycle for a trading firm. Okay. Same way, let's say if you have a manufacturing firm. Second case. So in case of manufacturing firms, what happens? Manufacturing firms create their own product from scratch. They don't buy ready-made products, isn't it? So with their cash, they are not going to buy finished goods. They are going to buy raw materials, right? Their stock will be raw materials. This raw material will get converted into work in progress, right? Meaning products are being manufactured, they are on the way, they are half done, but they are not complete. So they are work in progress. Then once those products are complete, alright, they are ready, you have finished goods. Okay, products have been completed. Now the products are going to get sold. So like I said, if they are sold for cash, they get directly converted into cash, and if they are sold for credit, they first become receivables. They remain receivables for a certain number of months till the time you ask them for the cash, and then these receivables get converted into cash after the time period which you have allowed, right? So if you see the difference, the operating cycle for manufacturing firms is slightly longer, it's lengthier, because there are many more steps involved in between. They manufacture their own product, so they have to buy raw material, they have to manufacture it, process it, create the finished product and then sell it. Whereas in case of trading firms, it was a much quicker cycle or a quicker operating process. This is why working capital is called circulating capital, because it circulates, it moves from one form to another. First it was cash, then it became raw material, then it became work in progress, finished products, receivables, till it finally got converted into cash all over again. Right? So that is what we mean by working capital. That is why working capital is known as short term or circulating capital. Okay. So we see how to manage this working capital, what different types of working capital exists, and the different concepts that are there under working capital.